Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. This is certainly not how I envisioned my presidential installation. I've been looking forward to this possible moment since 1975. That year, my wife, Georgia, attended the annual meeting as a new associate of the SOA and as a new mom, and I attended as a spouse. I was impressed by the Society of Actuaries and the breadth of subjects my wife was studying. 3 years later, I left college teaching, and I attended my first meeting as a new associate, while she attended as a newly minted fellow. Since then, both of us have remained active volunteers with the SOA and in civic and religious organizations in each of the dozen cities we have lived. Georgia, thank you so much for all your support and guidance. I wouldn't be here today without you. And thanks to my daughters, Rachel and Leah, for accepting those late family dinners. Now they both have accomplished careers and their own beautiful families. For me, the highlight of the annual meeting is the traditional presidential luncheon. I'd be giving this speech in a packed dining hall with huge video screens behind me and my family, friends, and fellow actuaries in front of me. But the world hasn't been like this since the flu epidemic of 1918, something I studied on at least 3 actuarial exams as an example of an extreme event. However, it is still a great privilege and honor to be here with you all today. Nearly everyone in the world is affected by new risks, like COVID-19 and climate change, and ever-present risks, including healthcare, racism, poverty, and hunger. And while technology has accelerated some of these risks, it also gives us a platform to eradicate them, if we have the will to do so. This year has been a challenge for everyone, even actuaries who are trained to evaluate risk. We adapt, we evolve, we grow, and we learn. But that is what actuaries do, and that is what I love about this great profession. When the pandemic led to closing exam centers and canceling in-person events, the SOA adapted quickly to the challenge. We immediately implemented plans to reduce expenses to meet an expected $10.5 million shortfall. Through the work of hundreds of volunteers and staff, we converted our major meetings and symposia to virtual ones, with some having greater attendance as a result. We modified meetings in China and Asia Pacific and created over 160 webinars to meet your professional development needs. We have modified our exams so that by the end of this year, all but one will be fully online. While we are not yet out of the woods, we owe a big thank you to everyone involved in adapting to a new reality. Now I want to talk about the future and the 2 main challenges the SOA will address in the coming year: the long-term growth strategy and our response to systemic racism. These 2 efforts go hand in hand, strengthening our profession to face the challenges ahead, while at the same time expanding our community to represent the demographics and the populations we serve. In terms of diversity, we must address both the lack of racial and ethnic diversity in our profession and within the SOA staff. During Monday's opening session, SOA President Andy Rowles spoke about the importance of DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm here today to assure you I will carry on those efforts. Indeed, I've asked Andy to be the board liaison to the newly formed SOA DE&I oversight team. Jenny Haid, who just served on the leadership team, will be the board liaison to the joint committee with the CAS, while Sarah Tepina has been intimately involved in DE&I activities. She will join the leadership team. The SOA alone cannot end structural racism, but I trust that you can see that we are serious about closing the gaps within the profession and our own organization. Research co-sponsored by the SOA taught us that the single biggest barrier for people of color to join the actuarial profession is the lack of or late awareness of the actuarial career. Actuaries trail other STEM careers such as engineering and computer science. Persons of color learn about the profession later in their education and therefore begin taking exams later, often too late to secure internships that lead to entry-level positions. Lack of knowledge leads to lack of support from their family, friends, and teachers. And there are the financial barriers related to the cost of the exams. So what can the SOA do to improve awareness and provide support? We will provide more financial support to organizations connected to communities of color and increase our support to the Actuarial Foundation that has connections to thousands of students and teachers. The SOA will expand our own programs to promote awareness. We will build upon the high school actuarial days piloted at DePaul University in Chicago and with Arizona State University. I propose that we harness the support of actuaries and universities across the country and hold a virtual national actuarial career day that will simultaneously reach thousands of students. It is going to take commitment and financing to increase the representation of persons of color. And it's going to take time. But as Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. After my address, I will have a conversation with author and journalist Ta-Nehisi Coates about the forces of racism in America and how the history of exclusion and inequality affects our lives today. This is not only an honor for me, but these are important conversations we need to have today and in the future. As the famous Rabbi Hillel said, and if not now, when? Speaking of the future, we shouldn't head there without a guiding strategy. Over the last year and a half, the SOA board and staff have met with countless actuarial leaders, teachers, students, employers, and non-actuaries around the world to understand the issues and environment that the actuarial profession and the SOA will face over the next 10 to 15 years. We've identified 5 clear trends. If left unattended, these pose major problems for us, greater than those we have faced in the past. The first trend is the rise of data science. While actuaries were the original data scientists for the insurance industry, data science as a discipline has grown. It has become a competing career path for talented students. While the SOA has seen the number of first-time exam takers decline over the last 6 years, data scientists have supplanted us in the top spot of career rankings. The second trend is that of AI, artificial intelligence, and that will change the nature of work. This is true for all professions, including ours. An independent analysis by our consultants at McKinsey estimates that as much as 35% of current work done by actuaries could be replaced by automation in 10 years, and as much as 50% of current entry-level work. On the other hand, AI can relieve some repetitive work and give us the opportunity to exhibit our other problem-solving skills, our judgment and creativity. The third trend is the changing nature of credentialing and skill development. The environment and how individuals attain new credentials, micro-credentials, and badges has changed the educational landscape. And the fourth trend is the change in member engagement. The SOA of today represents a model that has successfully engaged many generations of members. But this model needs to change with a younger and more diverse membership, and as communications and networking preferences evolve. At the same time, employers are rethinking their commitment to meetings and dues. The fifth trend is the shift in growth patterns for the SOA. The needs and changes affecting our traditional industries in North America are different than those affecting Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. These are the 5 trends. For actuaries to remain the risk experts of choice far into the future, we need a thoughtful and ambitious long-term growth strategy. Your board has spent this past year developing a strategy based on 5 themes. In education, we will see the greatest changes as we're looking at what skills are needed as a result of the growth of AI. How can we provide a nimble, just-in-time curriculum? Can we provide off-ramps for those who only need part of our syllabus? What about on-ramps for those with strong technical backgrounds, but no knowledge of insurance? In professional development, we must provide content valued by employers for both relevance and timeliness. We need to serve all our members around the world. In the research area, we're investigating how we can do more in-house, how we can make it timely, how we can serve the global community, and how we can monetize our data and expertise. In the international arena, we are studying how we can better position the organization to serve our growing membership base outside North America. Finally, we can improve member engagement by building a community structure that brings the SOA closer to members, closer to candidates, and closer to students who want to learn about the profession. In this short talk, I can't get into all the details, but I can assure you of two things. First, the board is here to support you as members and the SOA as an organization. Second, we will be transparent. I look forward to candid conversations with you over the next year, maybe even face-to-face. The board will need your support and help with these initiatives. I have another major goal: to increase the voice of the Society of Actuaries. I want us to be looked to as the source of information for the public and to be consulted on societal issues that have an actuarial context. My vision is that actuaries be viewed as professionals who make the world a better place. Professionally, we design financial security programs to protect society. I've worked in medical insurance for much of my career, and I've always felt a deep responsibility to insureds and their dependents who rely on my products on a daily basis, sometimes as the difference between life and death. I always considered it a challenge to design the most robust benefits people could afford that would still provide my employer with a reasonable rate of return. I felt a responsibility to work with healthcare professionals to design systems that encourage insureds to stay as healthy as they can. This pandemic has made it clear that our health systems must learn to not only react more effectively to outbreaks of disease, but also to remove the evident disparities in healthcare. I am issuing a call for actuaries to produce timely research and communication to address society's problems that have an actuarial component. That means I need you to volunteer your time and talent. Without you, we cannot achieve our long-term growth strategy. Without you, we can't spread the word about our profession in local schools or tutor students in the Actuarial Foundation's Math Motivators program. Please raise your hand. The SOA will be ready with opportunities to meet your interests and time. I'll share with you my own story. I owe my start with volunteering to Julius Vogel, former chief actuary at the Prudential Insurance Company of America. Julius became SOA president-elect the same year I joined Prudential. Julius loved being an actuary. He loved being called chief, and he loved working for the SOA and serving as president. He encouraged us in the actuarial program to not only give our best to the Prudential, but also to the SOA. And it worked. 15 years later, not only did I become general chair of the Education and Examination Committee, but 3 of my 4 predecessors and the one who succeeded me as chair were all from Prudential. In total, I worked in various capacities of education for 30 years. And I can tell you that I learned a tremendous amount in all practice areas, met many smart and dedicated actuaries, and had a chance to visit nearly every major city in the US and Canada. In between, I published several papers and served on my local Board of Education and synagogue committees, all while working as CFO or chief actuary of 2 national companies and 2 regional health plans. But the greatest reward, both at work and in volunteering, was the opportunity to help young actuaries to succeed in the profession I love. I know you too will find the same rewards. I look forward to serving you as president, empowering the profession for the future. One actuary can only do so much, but together we can build a strong future. I urge you to join me in elevating the profession for today and the ever-changing tomorrow. Thank you.